Good. So now our database is working. The auto migration is also working. So if you look at our application here, good. So when you come to port 8080, it is working. Welcome to bookstore. Okay, good. That is what we have over here. Okay, good. Now let's continue to create our controller methods. So we will first create the create method in our controller module over here. Good. So as we have it over here, controllers, then we come to the book.go. So this is where all the operations are going to take place. The creating of the books, the updating, the deletion, the viewing. This is where all the logic is going to happen. Good. Now let's first create our create method to create our book. Good. So let's create our create function. We will call it create book. Okay, good. Now don't forget, in creating the method, you see we made it capital C, not small c. The reason is that so that we can actually export the function or call this particular function method in our main.go, so that we can actually use it anywhere in our project. Good. That is why we do the first letter capital. Now let's continue. So now inside our create method parameters over here, we will pass the gene context as a parameter inside our create book method over here. So, and that is what is going to handle the creation and everything. Good. So we will bring in our gene context method. So we will say, and we will use a C representation for the gene context. So we will say C, then we will say we will use the pointer of the gene context. Don't forget that. Good. Then we will say gene dot now context. Good. The reason why we have an error over here is because we have not yet imported the gene package into this particular file or this particular working environment over here. Good. So we will do that. Let me see if quick fix can handle that. Okay, good. Now it will disappear. Good. Now let's continue. Now inside our method, we will first create a variable and we will call the variable book. And this variable, as we all know in Go, when creating a variable, after declaring the name of the variable, we have to specify which type of variable that variable is, whether it is an integer or a string. Now, because we are creating a book, and if you remember, when we were doing the migration, when we were creating the database table, we said that the book is actually a struct, and we created it in our models over here. Oh, that is it over here. So we said that the book is a struct. Okay, and we specify the title and the author and the year. Great. Now in our controller over here, we will specify that this variable that we have created is actually an instance of the book struct that we have here in our models. So we will say, we will call the models and we'll say that this variable is actually an instance of the book struct that we have over there. Good. Now the models is automatically imported for us over here. Great. Because we are getting into the book, the models folder, we are getting into the book.go in the models, and we are calling the book struct over here. Are you seeing that? Good. Now, so that is why we have to bring in the models over here. Exactly. So now we will declare it as an instance of that struct over here. Now you see the error has disappeared because you have not yet used the variable. it is declared and not used. That's why we are having an error. So it will go when we start using that variable. Now let's continue. Now before we continue, we will first bind the JSON request body to the book struct over here. So we will bind the JSON request, and gene context is going to handle that for us. And because we are using the C representation for the gene context, we will be using that. So we will say that if there will be an error, and we will first declare the error as a variable, and we will say we will call the C representation of the gene context, and we will say that should bind the JSON to that book struct. So this is how we use a method in the gene package called should bind JSON. So it will be should bind JSON. The JSON all is in capital letters. You see it over here. Good. Should bind JSON. And inside it, we will specify what is our JSON request binding. And you say that it is binding the book struct over here, which we created the book variable to be an instance of it. So it is binding the book variable over here, and we are going to use the pointer method for the book struct. So inside it over here, we will do our ampersand, then we will bring in the book. Good. So that is it. We've binded it to it. And if we bring our semicolon over here, and on the same line, we will now go ahead and check it. So this is also allowed in GoLang. You can first make a declaration of a variable before you continue to declare the condition for that condition. Now we will say that if the error is not nil, that means that if there is an error, if the error is not nil, like this, good, then we will go ahead and we will bring our gene context, and we will use the JSON method in our gene context, and inside the method we will say that we are checking the status request via the HTTP that this method is here. So we will check for it, the status request that is coming in. So we will say HTTP dot the status bad request. So if the status request is bad, we are using this method from the HTTP package. Good. And if it is bad, then we will see that we will use the gene to output an error message for us. So we will do gene.h, then inside it over here we will say it is an error, and the message of the error is invalid request data. Let's add the data. Okay, good. Invalid request data. Great. Then don't forget to bring your comma over here. Great. Now we are through, and if there's an error, it will output this error message, then it will return. So we won't be able to continue. So we will do return. Add it over here. Good. Then we have taken care of this. So now we can go ahead and create our book in this create book method. So we will now call the database module over here that we created. So inside it we have the db.go, if you remember, and inside it over here we created a global variable called db, and we declared it to be a pointer of the Gorm DB method. Good. So in our controller over here, we are going to use the database. We are going to access the global variable DB over here. Good. And we are going to use it to create the book that we are creating inside over here. So we'll go ahead and call the database. So we'll say database dot the DB variable over there, and inside it there is a create method over there inside it, which is an inbuilt method. So we will use that from the Gorm package, and we are saying that we are going to create this variable, so which is an instance of the book struct in the book models module. So we will point it to the pointer so that we can actually modify everything. So we will say that it's a pointer to the book variable that we have created over here. So that is what we are actually coming to create. You get it over here. Good. So that is it. The reason we are having an error over here is because we have not imported the database module, the folder name over here. We have not imported it as we did for the models. You get it. So if we let's do a quick fix and see now. Good, it is over here. Now we have imported it into our import packages over here. Now it should go. Great. So that is that. Great. Then we can so the create method in the Gorm package will handle the creation of the book instance in the database. So we can now bring the gem context representation, and we use the JSON method inside there, and we will say http dot the status. If the status is created, status, then created, then we will bring in the book which was created. Good. Now this is that. We are done with the creation of the book method. But what if in the process of creating the book an error occurs? So let's handle the error gracefully. Then we are through with the perfect method for creating the book. So now in handling it, we will save this as a variable, and let's say that we will save it as a variable called result, and we will say that if the result, there is an error that occurs inside there, so we say that result the dot error, it is not now, then we will say that we will bring in the JSON, the gem context, and the JSON method inside over there to handle it. And inside that method, we will bring in our HTTP, and we'll say that we will check for the status internal, if there's an internal server error. So we will say status internal server error. Okay, over here. Good. Then we will say the gem, and we will output this error that the creation failed. So failed to create book. Then don't forget your comma over here. Good. Oh, the nil is one L, not double L. Great. So we are done with our creation.